Hey, hey, hey. Welcome back to Create Your Victorious Life. And this is Cindy Gould. I'm Cindy Gould, and I want to welcome you also to the Spanglish World Networks on TV, channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV apps on the respective app stores of either iOS or Android devices. And while you download, by all means, please leave a stellar comment and a rating. That app is totally free. Free is an amazing word right now in this holiday season. And Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, also on all those smart TVs, not the dumb ones, from 2016 going forward. And I am so excited that this week, before the Christmas holiday, I get to have my precious friend here with me today, Corrine Zuleger, who I just love and adore. And by the time we're done, you will adore her as well. And, her story is so profound to me. After losing her father and her brother both to substances, she stood in the mortuary and vowed, that's enough. I'm not going to lose one more person that I love to any of this nonsense anymore. And I don't say that in a menial way at all. She herself struggled with her own mental health issues and not only overcame them, but now uses that pain with her purpose. And she teaches and trains others. She's a mama of 3, a stellar, amazing, and super hot wife. She understands the trials and the tribulations of being a mama, no matter how old your babies are, because you're always the mom and they're always your child, and there's always a thing, good or otherwise. All these events did open doors for her, though, to address and to look at childhood trauma, grief, how all those things affect our overall physical health and our emotional and mental well-being, a deeper understanding of that mental wellness, including that word that a lot of us hate, shame, and that a lot of us felt, being vulnerable, being afraid and frightened, emotional intelligence, and the brain science behind all of it. Holy smack, if you hear all her credentials. She's a transformation and a mindset life coach. She has tools that include being a 1-star dual elite neuroencoding specialist, which is where I had the privilege of meeting and joining forces with her. She, from the Neuroencoding Institute, she is also a licensed brain trainer with Dr. Daniel Amen, an advanced certified trauma practitioner. She's with the John Maxwell team as a member there. She is a quantum leap specialist, which I'm curious about. She's also licensed teaching partner with the Empowered Living Community, trauma-informed care trained, resilience trained, and well-versed in adverse childhood experiences. All of those things pretty much just sum up that she's bad to the bone and can help you break all these cycles and help you to create the most victorious life. My sweet friend, hello.
Oh, you can just introduce me all the time.
I'm on the road with you, and I will just do it. Just give me that mic. It's easy. You make it easy. So just thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Totally. I mean, I know it's a few days before Christmas, and there's a lot of things you're probably baking and doing all sorts of yummy things. But I wanted to have you this year especially, and especially right now, because yes, there's a lot of joy and fun and happy over the holidays. There's also some people, and even myself included, and other people that you and I both know, and I'm sure yourself, at times that have had, that have tripped over our traumas over the holidays, that have had some sad things pop up, some things that are really tough to maybe process through, or what about, you are a mama expert, and what about those mamas out there that are trying to figure out, they have way more month than money, and now there's this holiday, right? Trying to figure out how to create that amazing experience that this time of year can afford us without being able to afford a lot of the things that maybe other kiddos are getting. And so with all that, my love, I turn it over to you and just talk to us, share your wisdom.
It's so interesting that you talk about Christmas, because I can remember a time, so moms, if you got little kids around, put them away, cover their ears. I can remember asking, like why different different kids got different things. Some kids got bigger presents, and why we didn't. And having to skirt around those answers. But what's really interesting is now that they're older, meaning they're all out of the house. Their favorite memories are not ever of the things that they got for Christmas. It's about the activities that we did together and the traditions that we had, and more the peace in the love and the joy that we experienced within our home that really mattered. And so don't stress out about the little things. Don't stress out about trying to get to all of the things. That is
Mhm.
a really big piece of advice. Is there's so much that goes on, and we want to say yes to everything.
Right.
However, it's just not humanly possible, and then we burn out. So that's it. Pump the brakes a little bit, and if you miss, a family gathering, out of all the gatherings, if you miss a little something, it's going to be okay. People are going to survive.
Right.
Mm.
100%. You know what I love too is that, when you say don't stress about those things and what your children remember, my beautiful son Nicholas last year mentioned the stockings, and that's always his
Mhm.
favorite, thing. And I know for myself what I really remember are the same things that I even now create, the yummy, cranberry pudding cake, and the yummy little snackies. And those
Oh,
are the things that make me like miss my mom, who's
oh.
I'm sure listening to us right now because she doesn't miss an episode. But those are the things that I remember, or the times when my mom and dad, had us and do sub for Santa, and take on other families, or the year
Mhm.
that we made a rule, and we were children when my parents did this, and it was a homemade Christmas, and we all came up. I remember, I think one of my siblings used the Quaker Oats, container, and made drums, decorated it with construction paper, made drums for the other siblings. And, and it was back when glitter was a thing. And so then my mama made the coolest coupon books, where every month, and they were just decked out, with the Christmas glitter and stuff. And then every month we had like 3 or 4 things that we got to pick each one of them whenever we wanted throughout the month, like our own batch of chocolate chip cookie dough, or, or a date with our mom, or, somebody else, we got to give up a chore, or,
Mhm.
and pick
Mhm.
whoever we wanted to get the chore, and just all of those neat things. But you're so right.
Mhm.
When we think about what when we think about that, it's really about the sledding and
Just time together. That's really your kids need your presence, not presence in the physical.
Mm,
And the older I get, the less material I become, is the more I realize what really matters. With having lost my dad and lost my brother and lost my mom, I look at what really does matter,
right.
and that is being together any moment. And for me, that's my definition of home. We could be in a hotel room, the 5 of us, and
Yep.
as long as we're together, we're home. And so
Mhm.
that's really what matters, is being present, and the love that you share. And love, meaning that, right, we're not always going to agree. There's going to be stuff where we're going to have to agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, nobody leaves, and we still love each other. So
I love it. Nobody leaves and we still love each other.
Mhm.
That. But that's so true. I mean, and what you said too, it doesn't matter where we're connecting in the world, what hotel we're in together, what beach we're on, or whose living room we're in. It really is, it's a heart issue, and that our
Mhm.
homes are that. So, can I
Yeah.
switch subjects really quick for a sec? Because I'm so curious. So,
Mhm.
I've loved forever the show Quantum Leap, and way back when Scott Bakula was the cute, wasn't he the cute guy back then,
I
or
have no
whatever?
idea.
Now they have one now that's current, and And, I've read your bio before because we've done other things before, and I've never asked you, what is a quantum leap specialist?
Okay,
Please.
so it's a type of life coaching.
Okay.
Um, the technique that I use is called RAMP. It's rapid accelerated mind patterning.
Yep.
And so it's a blend of like NLP, cognitive behavioral therapy, tapping. What it allows me to do is to access the subconscious. So
Mhm.
when we're looking at maybe there's a child wound that you have, an inner child wound that needs a little tweaking, if you will. Because everything is thoughts. Everything is thoughts. And from the time we're born until we're 8 years old, everything gets dumped into our subconscious. And we just really don't have the bandwidth to know what's
Mhm.
in there. And then there's a lot of things along the way that go into the subconscious. So the ramp technique allows me that. So quantum leap being um, the ramp allows for such a big leap, if you will, in the healing process,
Mhm.
whatever the issue is that you have. And so that's what it is.
I did not know that was under the quantum leap because I am going to ask you really quick. What did the P stand for in ramp?
It's patterning.
Patterning. That was it. So
Mhm.
I'm going to go on a rant about
Okay.
ramp. Okay. So all of you who are listening, before we're done today, Corrine is going to give the way that you can reach her. Do the ramp. Like get on the ramp. Like any of you that skateboard or that you get on a ramp, you get off a ramp. Ramp, you will get ramped up. I've done a couple ramp sessions with her.
Mhm.
Amazing work. And it takes you, the words that we love are further, faster. And it's what I
Mhm.
love about the work that we do is it just fits so perfectly within even your quantum leap pieces and the John Maxwell stuff, and all of
Mhm.
it just fits where your client needs it to fit, because each of us are so unique and different.
Mhm.
And she's brilliant at it. And
Oh,
you completely, just so you know, you'll completely feel safe and joyful when you're done, and happy, and just like, oh, that was great. You'll feel lighter if you want to feel lighter. And it's just a really neat experience. I would invite you by all means to reach out to Corrine after we're done today, or just find her even on social media, which she'll give us her info at the end, but so that you can just have a conversation with her and just see if it's something that it may work for you, because I can say yay because I've done
mhm.
it. So
I
so
can
that's
say yay too, because I was it was the reason I went into that is because it was the first life coach that I ever used. That was the technique that she used. And it made a huge difference for me as well. So yeah.
that's awesome. So I know that you have a passion for women and a special passion for mamas.
Mhm.
And I know that there were parts or during times of you being a mama early on that were probably, you were a different mama than you may be now, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
that transformation, I believe, was not just hard fought. I want to celebrate you because you recognize things that you wanted
Mhm.
differently and you did something about it. And I
Mhm.
celebrate that
Mhm.
because sometimes it's easy, don't you agree, to just kind of be like, yeah, but this is the way that my mom did it, or somebody, maybe not your mom, but this is
Mhm.
the way that I was taught, and so on, and things are
Yeah.
just this way, and and it's okay if I'm miserable, and it's okay if I'm making my babies miserable, and because they'll figure it out when they get older, right?
Yeah. I think there well, for anyone, there's an awakening period.
Mhm.
Something happens that shakes you up a little bit, and you kind of look around and go, I want something different. I
Right.
want, like, for whatever reason, this isn't feeling good to me. And that was 100% where I was at. I wanted something different. Um, I, our youngest was probably just maybe 2 years old when I had a breakdown. And then I remember saying to my husband, I mean, I pulled the curtain back and I'm sobbing and I don't really know what's happening. And he's like, Corrine, I can't help you. And at first it felt like somebody socked me in the stomach, and I sat on the floor and I thought about taking my life. I was like, the best thing I can do for anybody, because I'm the biggest pain in the ass, is that I can just end it and then nobody will ever have to deal with me again. And and I listened to the little voice inside of me that told me to pick up the phone and call a friend, and she told me to call the doctor, and then, and then I got myself there. But he's like, I can't help you. And he was right. I needed to help myself. And so often we seek that external. We think that it's someone else needs to help me, somebody else needs to fix this for me. And the reality of it is it's a you and you deal. It's your responsibility, because the things that are in your circle of responsibility are your thoughts, your feelings, and then your actions. Those are all on you. And that's where I was at. I was probably for the first time recognizing and awakening to the fact that if anything was going to change, it had to start with me.
Yeah.
And that's tough, right? Looking in the mirror and going,
Mm-hmm.
what's the common denominator in the problem?
Right.
There, right? I mean, that's hard. It's really hard to say. And especially because I lived in my stories. I lived in that and swam in the fact, well, I married my husband and it was his job to make me happy, right?
Right. Of course, right?
And I swam in the, well, I came from, my dad was an alcoholic and woe is me. And I had, and yes, all that stuff is real, right? All that stuff is valid. All those things happened. Now, the question is, to the severity of it. I mean, we know this, we learn these things, is that, only really 50% of what you remember, what you think you remember, is real. So it's like,
right.
I mean, I swam in that, right? I swam in that victimhood. I was a really good victim. But when I accepted personal responsibility, I was, I really was. Knowing that, when I look back at that, and it can be really difficult for me to remember her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I look at it, it's those versions of me, right? The death of me. I mean, it was like, I came back, a different person. I woke up a little bit more. I woke up a little bit more. And as I continue to evolve, I look at this, how simple, right? You would think that life would get more complicated, but life actually gets much more simple as I start to take a good look at what really matters, who makes the choices, who's driving the bus. I'm driving
the bus, who picked the bus, right? Well, and to your point, and there's so much to unpack here, when you change your story, you change your life. And it really is as simple as grabbing the remote and changing the channel, changing the frequency, changing your focus on what you're focusing about. And when I'm so grateful that you reached out and phoned your friend and she pointed you in the direction instead of reaching someplace else. And I want to say to anybody that's watching right now, whenever it is that you're watching, there's a reason you're watching. It's, I believe in absolute divine connection and intervention. And so if you're struggling in that way at all, with your depression, with being on this planet, or in any of this, by all means, please reach out to one of us, reach out, look for the local number, and reach out, please, because there's a purpose and a plan to your life, and there's a reason you're here. I'm grateful that, Corrine, that you took your pain and turned it into your purpose, I mean, which was already given to you, but you used it. I've shared this story before, and I'm going to share it again because it's actually so fitting. There was a season a few years ago where I was responsible to take care of many, 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 many dogs. And you know me, you've met me, and I am not the poop scooper girl. I'm kind of more like, and this will age me, the Green Acres woman. I wear 4.5-inch platform shoes. Even my flip flops, if I had them close by, I'd show you, are like 4 inches. And you know me already. And so and on top of that, because of the way that my life was set up, I was driving 2 hours each way to make that happen every day. And it was winter. I mean, there's just all these stacks of reasons for me to be a whiny pea pants. Okay. And to just totally, I can't believe la la la, all the things.
Mhm.
And so one day I called a girlfriend of mine and who's she's just enough in your face that you totally get the zinger and you don't feel like you're totally zinged. So I'm in my story, because I have 2 hours each way, so I can talk all the time, right? So I'm in my story, hardly taking a breath, and I'm crying, and I'm like, "There's poop in my hair. I have yucky stuff on my glasses." I'm just going on and on. And she said, "You need to stop right now." And I mean, and what a great friend. She said, "You need to find the treasure in that." She said, "There's holes in that poop, and you better start digging for it."
Mhm.
I changed my channel. It changed my experiences. It changed my life. Like, seriously, Angel, I thank you, my dear friend Angel. And all of that. But that's exactly what you did, is you got help for where you were feeling. And then you looked for all the good things that you could bring to other people's lives through the experiences that you've had.
Yes, that has been my goal. Is I took the time to grieve, because
Mhm.
I am a firm believer in feeling your feelings. We
Yes.
need to acknowledge them.
Yes.
We don't need to camp in them, but we do need to acknowledge them and allow our body to process them out so they don't
Mhm.
get stored in our bodies.
Right.
So once I was able to do that, I started to look at what was the good. Now, I will tell you, when my dad was in the hospital dying, and he was there for 9 days, and he was a young man, he was only 59.
Wow.
Uh, it looked like he was going to be good. And then, the next day we come in and nobody will make eye contact with us. And then they hit us with the news that, it wasn't going to be what we wanted it to be. So I went running, like I was sobbing, and I'm running down the hallway out of the ICU. And I literally turned a corner and I ran right into a nun. Like, takes me and embraces me. And she's like, "How can I help you?" And then I'm like crying, and I'm like, "I don't know who I'm going to be without my dad." And she delivered the gold, where she
Mm.
was like, "What you can do is you can find the good from his life and carry that forward." And I go, "You don't
Mm.
understand." I'm like, "I don't know if there is any." But as the time went by, because you get stuck in the story, right? I was stuck in the crap that would happen when he was drunk, instead of looking at all of the things he taught me, which are the things I carry forward, and how he loved animals, and how he was the guy that would, if your car was broken down on the side of the road, he'd stop to help you.
Mhm.
That was who he was, and separating the being from the behavior, right? So taking
Mm.
that from him. And then my brother, that was really out of left field. So when he died, he died of an overdose of opiates and alcohol, so it stopped his heart.
Wow.
And that was a big wake up call, to take a good look at, how was I living my life? And I mean, he was funny. He was funny. He was charming. He was good looking. I mean, he was just, and that was hard. But then there were things that he had dealt with, and I got very invested in learning about trauma and adverse childhood experiences, and in understanding, what leads someone down a path of alcohol and drugs.
Right.
My sister and I, because there was information floating around saying, well, it's genetic, but it didn't make sense to me. Like, why was my sister not an alcoholic? Why wasn't I?
Right.
And we just chose different things for numbing. You know, different,
Okay.
different things for numbing. And so looking at all of that and being able to tweeze out. And then 2 years ago, I lost my mom to cancer, and pancreatic cancer. And if anybody has ever had somebody that they love with that, it's just an awful, awful form of cancer because they go quickly. But that was actually a gift in and of itself, that she didn't have to suffer for really long. But getting the tweezing out of, what were the great things about my mom? I mean, my mom was so loving and kind, but what I learned too is my mom, she stuffed down her emotions. She could have been really pissed. And sometimes you didn't know it because she just was always kind and smiled and loving. And, I love the way she patted my hand and squeezed it, but sometimes I wanted her to just be like, so I think, all of those things have led me, and too, I lost my bestie that same year to cancer. And, she was tough. She was a tough woman who raised babies on her own. And, losing women like that, both of those two women were with me when I gave birth to my oldest daughter.
Oh.
Yeah. And I lost them in 1 year. And so it was like, Elise and I went away for her birthday because we needed to just be alone, it was a tough year. And so we went away for her birthday and really looked at, like, what did we learn from those women? Because they were like tough, but they not using their voice, not speaking up for what they needed or wanted, or the expression of the feelings. I want to say emotion, but because emotion and feeling are so interchangeable, but the emotion is what is that visceral response, and then the feeling is us thinking it over and over and over again. So
right.
Yeah.
Totally. And that was a lot, right? And one of the things that you said earlier is in your own growth, and you came to a place where you wanted something different. And you know what? I would say, how many times in our life do we come to that place, right? Or how many times do we start? Like, people are getting ready right now to do their New Year's, resolutions. And in fact, Joseph, our mentor, has the New Year's evolution on December 29th. Hit either of us up and we can get you a link for that, and I appreciate the way that he does it, because it isn't just about, like, how many times do you start the year? Okay, I'm going to drop that 40 pounds or that 30 pounds or whatever. And Christmas rolls around of the same year and you're like, okay, I think I'll do that next year. And, and it goes back to what you said. Think as we think, so we feel, as we feel, so we do, as we do, so we have. But in that thinking and the feeling, because our brains are electric, our mind, the brain, it's electric, and our hearts are magnetic. In between there's that belief. And so my question is what, with all of these experiences, and these are just little, we don't have enough time, right? These are little snippets of things, snippets of the situations. But what did you have to believe to really not just make, I guess I won't eat the row of Oreos today. I use weight as just, that thing, but whatever it is that you had to really anchor in the changes that changed the trajectory of your life, like, seriously, because I know you now, right? And you're just, I know your passion for your family. I know how much you were just at Stevie Nicks with your kiddos, like, who? That tells me, wait, because my children invite me to cool stuff too. When they invite mom, that's like, they got a cool mom, right? And so, because they want to spend that time with you. But what you have to believe to make those real changes?
You have to believe you're worthy of it. I believe that, right, because it does come from the inside. And you have to believe in your worth, to believe it's possible. It was it was really a journey, because if I looked at, how the things happened, like I said, every one of those was another level of awakening.
Mhm.
And when I started to see a life coach, I can remember um, we were out and it was a group, and the gal started talking about what she does. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Then I went back home and I looked up online what, her business was. I looked up, and then I made an appointment. And one of the
Mm.
things is I worked with high school kids, and I wanted to bring in, I had a room, a special room where the kids would come, and it was a transitional learning room. They thought that TLC was Tender Love and Care, but it was really a transitional learning center. But in that room, right, it was, the kids who were struggling with, mental
Right.
wellness, and it could have been behavior issues. They came
Mhm.
there, it was like a respite room, if you will.
Mhm.
And I was looking for, what kind of things can I do with them? I need more, like I need more for these kids. And when I went to the internet, trusty little internet, and our friend Google, I searched, and then what I found was um, John Maxwell. He was the
Ah,
only one out there that had curriculum for, for them. And so I went to my life coach and I was like, I've been looking this up, and I had, I told her, I'm like, I really want to do this. I want to bring this to the kids. And she's like, well, what's stopping you? And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, I don't have my 4-year degree, and and I had a whole laundry list of reasons why I can't do that. And she's like, you know, stop button. And within, it was like 4 months of me seeing her, I was signed up and I was going to my first John Maxwell event, which was amazing. And I, for the first few years of that, of coaching, I just coached within that room and used the
mm.
tools that I got. Right. So, anyways, it took me to kind of unravel a little bit. I had to chop away some limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of wish I would have had the neuroencoding techniques back then, because that would have been super beneficial to use the stop technique on myself.
Yeah.
That would have been beneficial, but yeah,
Totally.
just the freedom worthy, and the cut away some of the limiting beliefs, the things, the little inner critic voice that the little inner critic voice that was like, oh, but you don't, you can't do that. You don't have this, you don't have that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
And what is that really just saying? I mean, you don't have this, you don't have that is basically saying, I'm going to break it all the way down to the root of it. You won't be loved. You won't be accepted. You won't be received. You'll be rejected.
you
'Cause
rejected. Mhm.
you're not good enough. And so
Mhm.
therefore it equals I
Yeah.
won't be loved. And it's funny, I've had this conversation twice in the last maybe less than even 24 hours about Google. And,
Mhm.
and I tell people, look, no matter what you are, broke, busted, disgusted, sad, mad, happy, glad, I don't care. You want to know how to make wreaths, you want to know how to plumb your kitchen, go to Google University. You know what I mean? The people have no excuses. There are people, I mean, and I don't mean this unkindly, but there are people without homes that have phones. I mean, there are people that, you know what I mean, that don't have other things they need. You have that phone and you have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And if you want to make those changes, Google that stuff, right? Until you can find, like you did, to the arms of that nun who was profoundly placed in your tracks.
Mhm.
And then, to finding your coach and going to the events that brought you there.
Sure,
What's really,
absolutely.
huh?
Absolutely, right. Being resourceful in,
Yes.
because we
Well, and
didn't.
even there's freebies online. I mean, I know all of us have done free Zooms.
Oh
Come
yeah.
learn this.
Mhm.
All it takes is your time, right? Which is so cool.
Right.
I know you've got something coming up, don't you? A
I have.
new a new event, new group, new something.
A podcast?
Yes, well, I was leading to that, so yes. I didn't know if you want to chat about that yet. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So the Secret Keepers, it's coming. It's coming. It'll be after the new year that it'll be launched. Really looking at secrets in general that we keep because of the shame, because of the guilt, because of, for whatever reason, we keep the secret. We keep our secrets. We keep our husband's secrets. As women, we keep all the secrets. But what happens to us physically, mentally, emotionally, what happens within the body when we keep all the secrets? Really honing in and tweezing, looking behind the emotions of everything, the feelings, how it all works, the brain component of it, and dissecting, what is the long-term, I guess, I'm looking for the right word here, the
Effect.
repercussions, if you will, right? From keeping things and having those unexpressed feelings.
Mhm.
The longer it stews around in you, the more havoc it wreaks. So, yeah.
I God, who was it? Gary Brecka, Dr. Gary Brecka. He's amazing, brilliant. Holy smack, he's a brilliant, brilliant. And the things that you learn from him, I invite everybody to go look him up because he's amazing. He did a study, and they put these people in, they were not even in a room, they were like in these cocoon pod things, and they were watching the people and how they were responding to things and what they were missing in their, and I don't know like all the parameters of the study, but what was so profound to me is you would think that love would be the number one thing that people absolutely have to have, and we do, to live and survive and thrive. The thing that became the number one, and it was above and beyond anything else by 400%, was, brace yourself because this was brilliant, was authenticity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And wait, to your point of even what your podcast is about or anything else, a lot of times what do? We morph into, we have things that are said, and we don't, as a child, something said to you, and it may not even mean what you thought it did, and because you were ashamed of what was said, you didn't share it with your mom, and so she could clarify it. You didn't address it with that teacher who might have just had an argument with their spouse in the morning, and you were the first shot they took,
Mm-hmm.
back because they had to get out the door, whatever that is. But from even that level of things, what did it do? It caused us to, shut down, be quiet, keep it inside,
Mm-hmm.
to create that. And what does it do then? Oh, I can't be myself like that because I got in trouble for it. Or I can't ask those questions, because I sincerely don't understand. Like way back when, people that had like their dyslexia, whatever, disruptive in class or whatever, when there was like a legit reason why they were asking you several questions, because they really wanted to understand. They wanted
Sure.
clarity, right? But what are
Mm-hmm.
we taught with all that stuff?
We do.
And to your point of feeling worthy, and good enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really difficult, I think. And I love what you do, because I have had the privilege of doing the ramp with you, and you and I, because we've been accountability partners in the Institute, so we get to coach with each other. One of the things I love that you do is you create this safety of everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead, say whatever. It's
Whatever.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, seriously, like things that, instead of being I'm going to say it the politically correct way, you're just like,
Yeah.
get it out. And we'll figure it out after you get it out of there,
Yeah. There's
Right?
I think it's important for you to express that. It's important to, when you have feelings, we should just welcome them, give them a big hug,
Mhm.
because they all need to be acknowledged.
Mhm.
Whether they seem irrational, like, um, I hear this description of women. that are PMSing. They're just crazy, or they're like psycho right now. I mean, these are words that are being thrown around and to describe us when we're dealing with something that we really don't have a choice,
Right.
And so when I hear those sort of things, it's very unfair because we tend to internalize it then that, oh, geez, right now I'm hearing this and this is the way people are talking about me. And I really don't like that. So I think it's important to acknowledge it and be like, you know what, that's not okay to say that to me. It's just not okay.
Right. Well, and it's not accurate.
Right.
I mean, I think above and beyond anything, what you said too earlier, you've said it before in conversations we've had privately, and I love this. Separating the being from the behavior. I love that. It's so much easier to judge he's being a jerk, blah, 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 or she's crazy, or she's, irrational, or she's psycho, or whatever, the things that you just said. And separating who they really are to the core, I know I said this in our show last week, with Andrew, we were talking about marriage, and out of over 8 billion people on the planet, Vaughn chose you and you chose Vaughn. And so he might have a day that you just want to knock him out. I mean, all spouses feel that way, probably, where he's just whatever, and you, or vice versa with you, right? I have a feeling though, when you separate the behavior from the being and you really remember who they really are to their core, whole different way to respond, right? I'm thinking we might have lost you, Corrine. Let's see if she's coming back here. She is. So I thank you, Eduardo. And I do want to take just a minute to thank all of you that are on here with us. We've got, holy smack, Eduardo tells me where people are from, and he's our producer. And we have North America, all the Americas, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Oceania, all being represented right now from a variety of ages, which is really awesome, which I'm excited about. And I do want to thank you. So I go back on or not. And if she doesn't, let me just say that you can find her on Facebook and socials, Corrine Zuleger, and she's phenomenal. She'll be somebody that will come alongside of you and give you the tools and sometimes the kick in the booty that you might need to get going and to do what you came here to do. What's beautiful about this season right now is that oftentimes when you have a few days where you're focusing on other people, hi honey, you get to reflect and you get to really be heart-centered in our giving. And I was just telling everybody how to find you, and then I kind of carried on. So thank you for coming back. But I was just talking about being heart-centered in our giving, and we have a few minutes left. And you mentioned earlier some of your special traditions that you guys have that your children loved. Are there things that really stand out as parents that you created with your children, or that your parents created with you, that you guys still carry on?
Well, now that they're older, for Christmas, we take them on a trip. So we're taking them to Mexico for a week. So that's their Christmas present, and they know it. So they're all prepared. But we love to play games. So the board games come out and we play board games. Uno is a big one too at our house, and things can get kind of hairy. They can get pretty competitive. But it's interesting because one of my favorite things is putting up the ornaments on the tree, because I have all the ones that they've made me throughout the year. And those are by far my favorite. So I know some people like to have like shiny balls in different colors and have a certain theme. I'm all about all of their homemade ornaments. So there's in the any of the special ones that I've gotten throughout the years. I love it.
That's fun about Mexico. So do you guys do you do anything at home and then you go from there, or do you guys just meet? Like,
no, we meet. Well, no, two of them are coming home. The oldest one is in Denmark with her boyfriend's family
that's
for Christmas. So the younger two are coming home for Christmas. We do share. We'll do Christmas with my sister and my nieces and nephews, and then we'll do Christmas with my husband's side of the family. We've always done that. Years ago, when the kids were younger, with all my girlfriends, we would do a round robin. So then our kids all got to know each other. We used to do that. They used to really enjoy that. He still fills their stockings.
Yep. Yeah, Santa still makes his rounds over here too, no matter how old. I love it.
These balls.
Yes. One of our friends, Michelle Sig, the other day sent me a picture, and it was the coolest thing. She and I believe one of her children, maybe both of them went, but they went to a glass blower and they blew their own ornaments.
Oh, I love it.
How cool is that, right? I thought that's a cool idea, because that would be super fun. And they had these little snowmen and, little things. That would be like, I'd have like some weird, crazy shaped, cool thing. I know already kind of the stuff I would do. That would be super fun. But it's, I think about the traditions and things that we always had. And I know so many families, like even open the jammies on Christmas Eve and, all those kind of things. And, and it's just that special time of year. But what I really love is that it's supposed to be where you're focusing on others, and that you really are spending that time focusing on others. And it's just a really wonderful reminder of the joy. Like, one of the things that I love, and I loved it when my children started working, and then they were able to, well, even when they did their chores, they would take money and then go buy gifts, for each person. But when they actually had jobs and they were kind of adulting, even as teenagers, right, to do that, it was really fun last year, because our grandgirls, my grandgirls were working, and watching the last 2 years, how excited they were with the gifts that they got for everybody. That was pretty fun. Do you know what I mean? And just watching how cool that was for them. Okay, sweet girl, are you frozen again? I think you're frozen again, which it's okay, because it's almost time for our show to end. And I'm sorry, it's probably winter stuff. Last week we had on Empower Network TV a first date. It was about a week and a half ago. And golly, we were getting dumped on snow where I live. One of my co-hosts was back east, and she was having the tornado or hurricane warning thing, and everything was was shutting down, and it was really fun. But before we end today, and I think I have just another minute, I just really want to thank each of you for all of your support and your love. Our show's growing, and it's been so much fun. And next week we get to end this year with the guest that I started my show with earlier this year, my really dear, precious, amazing, prophetic, stellar friend, Donna Izzard. And she will be on our show next week, just bringing the goods before we go into 2024, which is going to be super fun. I also have a really cool women-only just hear us roar and watch us soar in 2024 group. Go to my Facebook, Cindy Gould on Facebook, or find me on Instagram, Victorious Living with Cindy on Instagram, and you'll see the ways that you can go to roar.createyourvictoriouslife.com, and you can sign up and be with us. It's going to be 12 weeks. If you've ever felt stuck or had tripped over your traumas and you're just done. You're done with the excuses, done with the reasons, done with kind of living the same life over and over again. You don't feel like you're completely in alignment with your assignment. You want to have victory in all the areas of your life. This is the group for you. And no matter what the issue is, no matter if you just want to level up in your life in any way, shape, or form, this is the group that you're going to want to be in. It's women only. It's going to be a sacred space. It's going to be a blast. We're going to start with envisioning and designing your life. We'll start that the first week, and it's kind of like vision boarding on steroids. I have a different approach to it, and seeing everything is already done, and it's really been effective and works not just for me, but for countless people that have done it. And so that's the way we're going to start. And then each week we're going to move and ramp up so that by the 12th week, you've already slayed some of this stuff that you just didn't even realize you were going to slay. And your heart set will be different. Your mindset will be different. And it will show in all the areas of your life. So again, I just want to thank you for being with us today. And please reach out if you have any questions, or if there are guests that you would like to see on the show, by all means, let us know. And here she is back again. It's okay. I don't know if you've got storming happening or what, but
it's rural Wisconsin. What can I say?
yeah, I've been there, not there, but I mean, I've been on that technology end of things, which is great. So is there anything you want to leave them with? Tell us all the places they can find you.
They can find me on Instagram. It's Corrine_Zuleger. You can find me on Facebook, Corrine Zuleger Life Coaching. You can find me on LinkedIn. Corrine, search Corrine Zuleger, it'll be on there. YouTube, I do have a YouTube channel at Corrine Zuleger, where I'm starting to, put some things in there as well. So yeah, at www.CorrineZuleger.com. It's all free. Yeah, it's all free. That's right. It's all about, yeah.
And is there anything that you can leave our viewers with where Christmas is concerned and the holiday season?
Yeah, I practice the pause. So if you are starting to feel overwhelmed, or just welcome in the emotion and practice the pause before you say something that you might regret. So just practice that, taking that deep breath in, the stop technique. Stand up, take a deep breath. What's the outcome you're really looking for? And then celebrate yourself for stopping yourself before you said anything that you couldn't take back. But just really in taking the moments. It's not about the stuff. It's not about the stuff.
100%. Well, you know what we do from us to you, want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I am so thankful for all of the blessings that I have, and especially being on the show. Eduardo's telling me it's time. I'm